Welcome to the Innovate Podcast, a place for auction business owners who have built successful operations but now want to scale their companies and leave a lasting legacy in the industry. If you want more growth, less grind, you've come to the right place.
Hello and welcome back to the Innovate Podcast. Today we have yet again Jodi Amaya walking us through how technology is a multiplier and why auction owners should not be thinking of technology as just a form of automation. It's actually amplification. So I want to dive into what we're talking about here, why automation isn't enough. Can you talk to me, Jodi? Why is automation not enough? And why are you thinking about technology in a way that's a multiplication effect, an amplification effect?
That's a great question. And I think it's something that I'm learning that I have to explain a lot more in my customer demos and things like that. The way I try to think about it is automation is like that assists you in handling tasks. But let's say that you want to send out a ton of emails to this group of people, and that's where multiplication comes in. So now the person that is responsible for handling that task, we can also multiply that. So that person has gotten 5 times more work done because we took logic and said, that's just one step of the task. Now, what is 2 and 3 and 4? So then we're able to expand and make each person that works for the auction company more effective. And we look at the process from the beginning to end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that. So it's like you build logic. So you build like step-by-step tasks. And what you're saying is if you connect these together, you actually get more out of not just speeding up those tasks, but you actually like amplify the power of those, like the outcomes of that. Is that fair?
Yes. It's in the past for me, I would say I need more people. And that's what I hear from my prospects today is that we need more people. And we talked about that some last week. But I literally documented what is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 200, to getting an item listed online. Or what are the buyers calling about? And then with very smart developers and architects and, QAs and BAs, we created logic so that we can make each person's role and their contribution to customer management or inventory management or auction management. We built in multiplication, basically. So tech is a part of automation, getting it online for the world to see. But if we can make your team more effective, more productive, more accurate, to me, that's the multiplication that the logic or the system is helping you build. And it doesn't mean we're taking away people, but it does provide a solution to have less people.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, is it fair to say that for a lot of folks that you talk to, they may not even have all of the processes written out to do this effectively.
Right.
So where you guys you're bringing in the tech, which obviously has the logic and the process, which makes things faster, more efficient, but also amplifies. We'll get to more of that in a second.
Yeah.
But even before that, you guys are actually, because you've done this 1,000 times, you've been doing this for decades, you've actually got the processes written out where they don't even have to document their processes because you've really you've really knocked down, the main things that they need to be doing to begin with. Is that fair? Is that fair?
Yes. I mean, and I think that that's one thing that has made me successful in this role and it took me a while to actually understand that because I worked at auctions forever. I did all things, auction clerk, writing up the inventory, taking the pictures, adding the lot numbers, taking people's money. I did all the things. And so I just thought that was normal work, but it was really hard. And so when I had the opportunity to build Innovate, that was something that was very exciting to me that I could one of the harder things, if I can go ahead and just give you an example, is things that we just take for granted, is that the phones ring nonstop. with our customers calling. And we think that's never going to go away. And that may never go away, but we can minimize it. So I don't recall if I talked about this before, but to me, this is one of the simple things. It's not complicated. It's very simple that we took calls from buyers who were calling saying, tell me about payment terms, tell me about the loadout conditions, what are the hours, just very simple things, or where is my invoice, or have you received my payment? And we automated that. And then we were able to multiply that so that we followed the buyer's journey from beginning to end. And with Innovate's storefront and customer portal, that customer can self-serve. So they can go from the beginning of a transaction all the way to paying and loading out without having to call the auction house if possible. For me, that reduced a ton of steps for me, number of people. I had more time to do other things. I had time to work on growing my business. So simple examples like that we just take for granted and we say, that's just the way that it is. You really can simplify so that the service is better for your employees and for your buyers and even your consigners, because happy buyers equal happy consigners.
I love that example. It makes me think of like there's an important distinction where when folks call up and they're doing business with somebody, they like to talk to a person. I do, my customers do, your customers do, your customers' customers do. But there are a lot of those cases where you actually don't need to talk to somebody, and it's okay, actually a delight to go to a portal if it's a nice experience and it's simple and I can find what I need, that I don't have to call you. I think about like my barber. I want to like just schedule something without having to call him.
That's right. Yes.
And stuff like that. Like that's very simple and straightforward, and like a very simple software solution can figure that out. But it's a delight to me. It's easier on the owner and everybody's happy. It's a win-win. Now, of course, I still want that human relationship. I still want that partnership and that trust, but there's a distinction there.
We do not want to take customer service away. If your customers want to call you, let them call you. But what if they don't want to? I think of the dread of calling AT&T, or for me, whenever, I would hire temporary help to help work auctions because the phones rang so much. And as much as I would tell them the answers, they would say something wrong or inconsistently or whatever it is. And then we end up misrepresenting or giving the wrong information. So I believe that if the buyers have that information in front of them, not always, because buyers aren't always easy to train, but if you can show them, sir, the left-hand side under the photo every single time, that's where loadout details are going to be. So if you want to make a decision about loadout, here's where you go. And then they say, oh, thank you. And then the next time they know where to go and they can start self-serving, and they're happy to do so.
Yeah. We're not talking, to be clear, about calling up the megacorp and you get this like 10-minute long hold period with a phone tree and you got to push all these buttons. It's not like that, though. That helps them, but that does not help us as customers.
But for me, sometimes there was long wait times for my customers, because we only had so much staff and the phone would ring so much. And so they would have to wait on hold. But the answers can be right in front of them instantaneously. If somebody wants to call me, and I'm happy to talk to them, but I also want to give them the option to say, hey, do you want to know if your wire's been received? Because that's a common thing. Buyers will call going, did you receive my wire? Did you receive my wire? And we would say, as soon as we do, we'll call you. But 10 other things happen before we get to call the buyer. And so it's nice if they can get a notification that their payment has been received. And oh, by the way, here's your release ticket. The release ticket is only handed whenever the payment is received. And the office doesn't have to worry about calling that person back. It's all automated. And the effect is multiplied, because now your team is more effective. Your buyer is happy. He's on his way to pick up his item. We didn't have to go through all these things, and stay till midnight to get it all done.
Yeah. I like the phrase that you used there. You said that it gives them the option. And I think that's the important thing. We're not taking it away. It's the option that they can choose to do it this way. And it makes everybody's lives easier if they have that option.
And I think consumers expect it today. That they want to be able to have the answers in front of them. And I also think it puts you ahead of your competitors, that you've got a storefront that enables your business to be open 24/7. That also multiplies. This another example of multiplication is that your storefront is basically not replacing your brick and mortar, but it is the image. Not everybody's just driving by today and going, "Oh, I'm going to stop in there." They look and they go, "Oh, I'm going to look up their website." And they go to their storefront. And so these service things and bring in more business for you whenever your customers are not walking through the front door.
That's right. It's marketing and sales 24/7, which is an added benefit. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so moving on, you use this phrase that I want to hear more about. You say the compound effect of small efficiencies. Tell me about that. What does that mean for you?
I think that let's say that instead of the person drove by and they looked at your storefront and they saw that you have an auction coming next Tuesday. And so they pre-bid on an item. That item had an inspection on it with 30 photos and 2 videos and the loadout information. That person put a pre-bid on because they were able to go to your storefront. They decided to bid more because you had an inspection report that had a lot of details instead of a very basic description. They were able to register. They were able to do everything they needed right there. That, to me, that's a multiplier. That is a compound effect. We improved in that scenario several times. We improved because we have a storefront with inventory on it. We improved because our customer could engage without having to talk to a human. We improved because we had a better quality inspection. So if we can do everything just a little bit better, we could be 50% better. 50% better hopefully means more revenue. 50% better means less arbitration, maybe 100% better than where we were. So the other side of that is that we can start measuring what that looks like. And that's the part that gets addicting, is seeing the results and measuring the success or even the failure and going, okay, how do we do better there?
I want to take this a step further. As you're talking, I'm thinking that is one collection of small improvements at one snapshot in time. And then you mentioned the data where you can start to improve that over time, the longitudinal effect over time, where these things, not just compound effect, again, in that one snapshot, but then you start adding that one snapshot up 100 times, 1,000 times over a year, 5 years, right. 10 years, you start to get exponential orders of magnitude more results. Is that a fair summary?
That's very fair.
Okay.
It's fun for me. Like, it makes me not like a fortune teller, but I don't know how to express it. When I'm doing, people think like, when I say, I promise you, just give it a chance and it's going to change your life. Like that sounds gimmicky, And so, but whenever I have customers say to me, like, Jodi, you make me look like a hero. My boss thinks I'm wonderful. We've grown our auction company 5 times what we were last year. Wow. And it's easier. And we're, like, it's 5:00 and let's get, like, I'm at his office and he's like, it's 5:00, let's go to dinner. Like the night before an auction. That used to never happen. Their descriptions are better. They're making more money than they were before. They don't have any more employees than they had before. So all of those little percentages added up, where at first they're like, I'm not sure that I can believe that logic can do what I can do. Like I'm the king, or I'm the person who I've got to do everything, because that's how they feel at the time, almost helpless and saying, I feel like I have to do everything right now. How can that ever change?
Would you say for folks that are feeling like, I'm the king of this castle, would you say, well, if you implement this and you start building really robust processes, good logic, you get that multiplication effect, you're more efficient, more clear, more standardized, you can be even more of a king of a bigger castle. Is that fair? I
would say to that person, there is no more of a control freak than me. And that I had my spreadsheets and for title tracking or expense tracking or inventory tracking, I had them all. And if you were to touch them, you were probably going to get slapped with a ruler, or if they disappeared, because it was my Bible. It was the only way that I felt like I could sort and resort and keep up with things. And then I still wasn't even certain after doing all that hard work and long hours. I still wasn't certain. So I was not a believer in what Innovate has created, but I am now. And I really do think that it can have a big impact on people's lives. I don't think it, I know it. Like I'm seeing it happen with my customers. So I'm excited that we've started, as much as I'm thrilled, to be on camera talking and all of those things. I am excited to get the message out about what Innovate does, because we really haven't started doing that until recently. So I'm excited to help more people and share how automation and logic and multiplication and all those things can actually really help your business.
Can we dive into more of like a real example, like something that you've seen in your work? You talked a little bit about this, and you mentioned some like this, client that you had that like kind of 5x their business, they're saying.
Yeah.
Like walk us through, take a few more minutes to kind of walk through like a story of where that really happened with a client, or even for you guys, like your journey. And you've talked about this a little bit, but what I'm hoping to do with this question is I want folks to really like see it tangibly, because we talk, theoretically sometimes, or about principles of like technology can really help. Here's how. But I want to hear like more of the practical, like kind of what you were just talking about here a minute ago, but just like walk me through a longer story of how that has really, really transformed someone's business.
So some of the examples are like real-time inventory updates.
Okay.
That seems like a small thing, but if you go look at an auction company's storefront website, a lot of times there's not inventory there. Their inventory is over at the marketplace. And so imagine, going out, taking a picture of whatever it is that you're going to sell at auction, and it's on your storefront within minutes. And that potential buyers are able to see that within minutes. Where
it was, so it's not minutes, but before it was hours, days? Like,
weeks,
what are we talking about here?
Weeks?
Okay.
Minutes.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, like however long it took that person to complete the description, make sure that the title came in, do a lien verification. Has it arrived at location? Has it been washed? Have I charged for that wash? All of these things are automated. Many of them are automated. I look at it like who does what and when, and the data is how. And so the inventory, for example, is a very long process from the consignor giving you permission to sell the item, to taking photos of it, getting its listing, making sure its description is correct. So each one of those, we've reduced the steps by around 60%. Wow. A title person, sometimes I promise you, if you ask a title person how many pending titles they have or whatever, they may cuss at you, because it's very hard for them to keep track of all of this paper. Well, Innovate, we found a way to track all of that. Not only have you received the title, have you received an original of the title? All of these delays in inventory management cost money. So I would say some auctioneers would agree with me that it takes them, 20, 30 days to get an item listed completely online, and they're still not 100% positive if it's listed correctly, verified the description, verified the title, verified the lien, did everything that they were supposed to do before it goes online to the world to see. So with Innovate, we've built in processes to make each person who's in that role more effective, and the inventory is online. So it greatly reduces the workload and increases the impact that it has to your team and making them more effective. So now your team can actually manage twice the amount of inventory and do a better job at managing it.
How much would you say okay, let's say an auction owner is listening and they've got a $20 million operation, 50 million, 100 million. What percentage of their team's time would you say you could automate out? Is that, I'm trying to see like imagine I get 20% more capacity or 50% more capacity or 5x more capacity. I'm just trying to like frame what this could really look like.
That's a great question. And I really should survey all of my customers. But the one customer that I told you earlier said that we've multiplied his company by 5x and he has not added any more employees. So in that scenario, that's like, 500%, each one of them, So other customers have told me that they feel like they are doing 100% more, if not 50% more. It really depends upon the role, but it is a large number that I'm afraid people won't believe until they see it. Another customer said to me, Jodi, I think you're like 15 years ahead of us. I couldn't see what you were seeing when we first started this, But now, after having all the time savers and the output and the decisions that we're now able to make that we weren't able to make before because they were so blinded by the lack of reporting and the lack of data and the lack of intelligence that was in their former software solutions, they didn't expect anything greater than that. And so now they couldn't even imagine that. So now she's like, I am able to do so much more with my time and we're making more money.
If you told me that you could grow my business 50% without adding any employees, I A, may not believe you, and B, I would love that. That sounds amazing. Yeah. But that is hard to believe. And I like, so you mentioned, so this customer told you that maybe you're 15, 20 years ahead of us. I think it's very rare that somebody gets that opportunity to be in that kind of position or have somebody say that. And I can imagine many characters through history that, had this kind of prophetic role, if you will. I'm thinking of like some of these dystopian novelists or, the iPhone when it came out or something like that. Not saying that Innovate is the iPhone, but the point is that sounds like a challenging position to be in in some respects, like that it's like you're a Cassandra. You're saying like, hey, this thing is happening, and I want you guys to believe it, and you're not maybe believed. What do you wish you could tell someone right now that's listening that's like, you're 15 years ahead of me. I don't believe what you're saying. 50% increase, 100% increase, a 5x increase. That sounds too good to be true.
It sounds drastic. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to them?
Call my customers.
Okay.
Yep. Every one of my customers says they're willing to be on a billboard. We should do billboards, Brandon.
Really?
But,
yeah. Okay. I'm in.
And the way I get new customers is referrals. So as the world can tell, Innovate has not done a lot of marketing. So I think that speaks some truth as well. We are a young company, but we're a very experienced company. We have a strong backing behind us. I know it feels like risk, but I also think you're at more risk if you don't make a change in your company's future. If your team is exhausted and not proud of the work that they're putting out, or you're not happy with the work that they're putting out, what are you going to do to change that? I believe Innovate has that solution. I strongly believe that. I've seen it in action. I want to share it with more people. That is our goal, especially in 2026, is to bring on a lot more clients and have more voices out there advertising for Innovate.
I love that. Challenge accepted. So
yes.
if you are hearing this right now, call up the team at Innovate to call their customers and hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Is this real? Because you can prove that it has dramatically helped a lot of people.
That is so true.
Yeah. And it's helping the auction industry as a whole. And I wanna highlight too that what I've gathered from our conversations, and even you mentioned it a few times, is these folks that own these businesses or are heavily involved in the operations of an auction business, they actually get their life back. So you could say like they're not as grinding as much.
Yeah.
And they're able to go to dinner on time, and they're able to like actually enjoy their work and enjoy their business, which I think may not always have a monetary value, but is extremely valuable for somebody's quality of life. And that's an important component.
And I mean, it's not anything that I expected whenever, I hoped, I remember, talking to my investors and saying, my passion for technology, my passion for the auction industry and the people in the industry, because I grew up with them. I hoped to make an impact on their business. And I knew that if they felt good about the things that they did, that it would make an impact on them, their lives, But some of the stories that I hear now are like so amazing to me to know that, my father passed recently, and I had customers that traveled from far away to come be supportive of me. I'm invited to my customers' weddings. Like, I'm introduced as family. Like, some of them, have told me I've saved their marriage, or they're not on cholesterol medicine anymore, or whatever it is, and it's just that they were able to take maternity leave because of Innovate, like crazy things to me that is so awesome. It's not anything I expected, but I've definitely loved the result.
Yes, I so love that. I think that's so important. I think it's easy as business owners to think like it just in dollars and cents. But there is this other component that actually does have a dollars and cents component.
That's right.
It's just hard to see. But to have that such a profound effect on the quality of their lives, the dignity of their work, their purpose, joy, time with their family, that kind of stuff is really huge. Really huge.
It is huge. And I don't know what your next question is, but the one thing that I want to say is that we're talking about a lot of efficiencies and time savers, but I've been a business owner, so I think, showing the proof is in money. I do have a way that I measure results in ROI. I don't want to share all the scoop and all the details here, because I would like the opportunity to talk to people and show them how. And the time savers do make a huge impact on the business. Each little savings adds up, but I can show you in dollars how converting some of your buyers over to your brand, how it can build a legacy in your company, how it can build your brand independence, and how you will save immediate dollars, and you will notice the impact on your business within weeks. And then it'll continue to grow from there.
We have a podcast coming very soon on this customer conversion, customer lifetime value framework. That is what you're getting at here. And I think we should just jump into that next episode, because I do want to talk about some of that. Yes, please call Jodi. Please go to innovatellc.com and get in touch with the team and look at the resources there and understand this. But I do want to get into some of those mechanics that I think will be really useful. Of course, not all the details. You can't give away the secret sauce.
Yeah, I'm not going to give all the secret sauce. But today I was talking about this, what seems to be, heard as dramatic. And so I want to say I can back it up by showing you the dollar signs, and I'll show you the formula with your own numbers and say, what if this was your reality? How, and if you don't make change, what is the impact of not making change? So if you'll just trust me for that phone call and for that meeting, and then try to tell me no, then we'll see. But I would love to have that conversation with many, many people.
Okay, you heard it here first. Jodi said, I challenge you to call my customers and then call me and look at this framework that I'm putting together and the dollar impact on your business and see if I'm not serious.
That's right. I know it can make a difference.
I love it. Strong, bold. Awesome. All right, Jodi. Well, thank you very much for running us through this. We've talked the last couple of episodes about technology, and I just wanted to double down on that point because I think it's hugely, hugely important to understand the framework or the kinds of thinking that is going on behind Innovate and the technology and the product that you guys are building. But where does that lead? That leads directly to the bottom line, which we'll talk about next time.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Brandon. It was good talking to you.
Always.
All right. Bye.